warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to BioChat session where this is the platform that we providing the sharing session with our BioNexus partners labs. And here today we bring our guest here from Universiti Melaya of Research Center Biopharmaceutical and Advanced Therapeutics, which is Prof. Zamri Binci. Welcome to Bioeconomy Corporation.
Thank you.
Okay. So all the lab of Universiti Malaya Biopharmaceutical and Advanced Therapeutics is actually is our BioNexus partner labs. So this kind of BNP or name of BNP labs. Hence, our BNP Labs is actually is a kind of program under the Bioeconomy Corporation, which providing the startups and SMEs on the one-stop access toward our lab network where they can get R&D services and also commercialization and also the innovation needs from the product testing to validation. So again, we are happy to bring Prof. Zamir Binci to come here in the BioChat session. Maybe Prof can share a brief background about what kind of this kind of research center are focusing on, and as I know, the UM is actually establishing the research center for the advanced therapeutic and also biopharmaceutical, and also maybe Prof can share also what inspired UM to develop this kind of research center in the field of advanced therapeutic area.
Okay, terima kasih Encik Hakim. Okay, let me introduce first what is UBAT. UBAT actually, previously we established UBAT purposely to do bioequivalent testing.
Okay.
For your information, bioequivalent testing is actually testing of the drug for generic products to compare with the original product. So that's mean, in the market, that's mean when the drug is actually marketed by a certain company, they got patent for 20 years. Once patent finish, that's actually an open market that another company can produce the same drug. So that drug, for the regulatory to approve the drug for to be used for whole, let's say in Malaysia, so they have to show the bioequivalence. That's what we conducted that drugs to show that the drug is the generic product is bioequivalence to the original one. That's the one that previously what we said established UBAT.
Yes.
But in the last few years, NPRA actually imposed a new regulation that all the bioequivalence only can be produced, can be accepted from the lab which has got accreditation. And at that time, when we thought that we would like to obtain that, we have to establish a proper staffing, proper center with proper like a private setting. And that actually requires a huge funding. And actually that's very specific, small area.
Okay.
And at that time also, UM actually stressed us to actually concentrate more on doing research, not only to provide service to the company, but they want us to strengthen the research capability in biopharmaceutical. And we actually, because we focus on biopharmaceuticals, that's we actually change our name and change our focus from bioequivalence only testing, move towards the biopharmaceuticals and advanced therapeutics. That's we change the name from Universiti Melaya Research Center for biopharmaceutical and advanced therapeutics. And still, this is still short form is UBAT. So we can maintain the UBAT name. So this is our new focus area aligned with what actually UM inspired us. That we really want to have one center that doing a lot of research for drug development. Drug development mean any stages of drug development from discovery, preclinical and clinical. And all of this is what we can offer. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Apart from that, maybe Prof can share a bit about what is doing this kind of services of doing the drug testing, research, on the providing the consultancy on biopharmaceutical, and also covering on the advanced therapeutics. So in another way, what specific gaps in Malaysia that UBAT is try to cover or try to address?
Yeah, in Malaysia, we actually lack of translational research because translational mean we do research that at the end we can translate into the meaningful application. So a lot of research in Malaysia now, they're actually focusing on certain area, but lack of translate to another, to that level. That means most of the research now lies on the bench. That's why they have no, expertise to move towards this, whatever that they invented in the lab or everything, move towards to the to be applied in the in the society, or if we say about drug in the patient or everything. And also the pharma company or in Malaysia also, they are more focused, as I mentioned just now, bioequivalence. I think pharma company mostly they are doing on generic formulation. There's none of that actually involved in drug development or whatever things, because as you know, drug development is because a lot of money you can in the drug development.
Yes.
But what we can actually we establish just now, because we actually can provide consultancies in every stage of drug development. So we hope that by establishing this pharmaceutical company where we can provide, because the core areas in our service is actually we provide clinical trial services. We actually can at the moment also we conducted a lot of clinical study for certain companies that they have certain product, but they don't know how to move towards this product for the meaningful application. So we provide consultancy, we provide the clinical study. Let's say if they actually develop for something for certain disease, we have access to the patient, we have access to the clinicians who actually can give further consultation for that particular study, and we can conduct the study. We have a team to conduct the clinical study. And also at the drug testing, we also provide the study that can actually offer, like preclinical stage of the study. At certain level of preclinical study, we can offer. We have expert in this area also. Yeah.
From Prof said just now, it covers on the what kind of services that Ubat provide to the industry lah. Is there any kind of services that Prof
Yes.
cakap lagi ke?
Yes. Yeah. I'm going to list down all the services that we can offer to the industry, because okay, if the industry they do certain, let's say they develop certain drug products, we offer the bioanalysis. That means we can measure drug concentration in whatever solution or whatever things. If they want to know
Level.
level of drugs, so we can offer bioanalysis. Because we actually, this is actually one of our expertise. We can when I say bioanalysis, it's actually like the liquid chromatography, mass spectrometry, whatever things that actually widely used in pharmaceutical formulation at the beginning stage. Okay, once they move certain level, and then they have to they want to understand if the whatever thing, the product that they develop can actually achieve in the body. So that's mean no point that if they develop something, at the end when they give to human patient, whatever, the people the drug cannot achieve certain concentration in the body. So that's actually where we can offer the service also. We can conduct at the preclinical, we can conduct pharmacokinetics and bioavailability study to see if the drug is able to be absorbed to the systemic circulation in animal, because we cannot conduct yet in human. But at later stage, we can conduct also the same study in human. But once they fully, prove, established in the preclinical at the animal experiments, it's actually proven to be effective. Then we can conduct at the stage also. So we can provide also in vivo pharmacokinetic and bioavailability studies. We can provide also in vivo toxicology studies if they want to see the toxicology of toxic effect of drugs. And we can and the next stage we can conduct early phase clinical trial. That means the bioavailability and pharmacokinetic study in human, either in healthy subject, or we can conduct a study in patients related to certain type of disease.
From the full range services that Ubat covering the biopharmaceutical, cell therapeutic, drug testing, and so on, what kind of collaboration that currently ongoing
Okay.
In the ubat.
This is very interesting because collaboration is key things in our, because without collaboration,
Yes.
we cannot move on well in drug development because as I mentioned, in drug development it requires a contribution from academia, from healthcare sector, and also from industry. So if we are in academic, so it's got academia, but we have knowledge, we have expertise for everything. But if we don't collaborate with the industry, have everything, they have good facilities, lab facilities, they have funding available to. But if I don't actually collaborate with company, I have the expertise, I have knowledge, but I don't have enough funding to support support my research. Okay. Of course, we can rely on government funding, like grants, but grant is very limited. If fundamental grant, like given by KPT, only a few millions, but it's actually required. We have to compete with hundreds or thousands of researchers in all research institutions in Malaysia. So, and the amount of funding is very small. We cannot get like few millions. We just get few hundred thousand. That's not enough to cover the research. So back to your question just now. What type of collaboration? Yeah, currently we collaborated with few pharma companies. Okay, like when we set up the UBAT is actually biopharmaceutical research center. So we also started on the nano formulation, nano product. So we become nano medicine. In nano means we would like to improve the current. Let's say we concentrate more on cancer. Okay, cancer. If you understand the treatment of cancer, chemotherapy now, chemotherapy is actually it's good. It actually can reduce the cancer, but at the same time, it's also giving a lot of adverse effect to cancer patient. So that means when the cancer chemotherapy give adverse effect to cancer patient, so it reduce the quality of life of the patient. So what we do actually, we take all the drug we started with drugs related to breast cancer. We encapsulate it in nano formulations, and this one we team up with one big pharma company which actually involved in oncology products. Okay, and this company provide us the facilities, stability chamber or everything that we don't have in university. But they actually they have that facility, but they don't have expertise. They don't have, and then they don't have access to the animal facilities. They don't have. But we in UBAT we have, in we have animal facilities that we can test the nano formulation that we conducted. Because this nano formulation we cannot test in human. We have to start in animal study. So we do in nano formulation so that this nano formulation bring that drug into the body, then and it actually can directly target the cancer tissue, and it's not targeting the healthy tissue. This actually can reduce the toxicity of drugs, and we actually patented this already. And this is in our pipeline to move to the next level, and we hope that we able to commercialize it in the near future.
Prof just said about the animal facility and doing the research study.
Yes.
And then maybe Prof can share what kind of animal being used as the model for the research study, and also apa significance of this kind of using this animal apart from any other method lah.
Okay, so in cancer study, if we would like to, I talk about cancer because we're focusing more on cancer. Of course, there's a lot more therapeutics, but currently we are focusing more on cancer. Because to test this, actually, we need a certain animal model to actually test. Because we use this animal and then we implant it with the cancer cell to induce the animal with cancer. Then once the animal get cancer, then we can treat our formulation to compare with current formulation. So we can see that our formulation is actually shrink the tumor well and also not distributed to the healthy tissue as I mentioned just now. Okay, so in terms of animal model, I just would like to mention to you something. Okay, for all this while, we use the normal animal model, which is actually purely an animal. But this is very interesting fact, something about our recent collaboration. So our recent collaboration with one biotech company in Singapore. This company actually also team up with the Institute of Molecular Medicine in Singapore, ties with National University Singapore. They have expertise to develop the humanized mice model. And interesting that we actually exploring this. This currently in Malaysia, there's none of any center or anything in Malaysia using humanized mice model. So you
Yes.
interested to know more about humanized mice model?
Boleh, Prof. Can
Okay.
share the detail about it?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So humanized mice model is actually very interesting. Where these mice currently we use mice which is mice.
Yeah.
They have the what we call immune system belong to mice. But using humanized mice model, we
Yes.
can implant these mice with human immune system into these mice to develop these mice, dia punya properties like human.
Like human.
So in dia punya immune system is human. The problem with cancer, because the cancer is actually when actually all the chemotherapy drugs
Yes.
currently developed, they use the normal mice model. That's mean it's perfectly work in animal study, but once the drug go to the clinical state, clinical trial, I think 70% of the drug candidate go to clinical trial will fail. Fail clinical trial, but even the result is very impressive at the preclinical level, but at clinical level they fail because of this.
Yeah.
Because in animal it's behave differently, but we go to an human immune system is more complex.
Yes. Yes.
So immediately the drug go to it will be suppressed by the immune system, and it is actually going to not function, reduce the efficacy, everything. So what we actually doing now, we collaborate with Singapore biotechnology company to develop humanized mice. And this humanized mice also in the future, if we successful in developing this humanized mice, it will give a source of income also. So we will maybe first in Malaysia to supply this type of, by collaboration with another biotech company also in Malaysia currently.
Because of I a bit interested on the humanized mice model and doing the cancer study. Can this humanized mouse model be tested in the disease?
And no, at the moment we focusing on cancer because and also cancer we developing immunotherapeutics. It's mean there's actually drugs currently because if you understand if you know that in cancer there's got some changes in the development of drug. In the previously, not only in cancer, all drugs we develop small molecule drugs. Cancer chemotherapy, but that's the change is moved towards the biologics. Biologic, is biologic, recombinant DNA, everything. And also we have the immunotherapies. That means immunotherapy drugs, okay, this is actually using our own human immune system to kill the cancer. With that using immunotherapies, this will reduce the adverse effect of the drug because as mentioned chemotherapy, it will attack cancer, it will attack as a healthy cell. But with immunotherapy, it will not attack, it will train, it will direct our immune system to kill the tumor. So to test this, the model, animal model, which is actually the most suitable one, is the humanized mice model. So if they test immunotherapy in the normal rat, it will not show any. But if they test in human rat with mice with human immune system, it will show that if it's work, it's really work in human at later stage.
Okay,
But
very interesting.
this humanized mouse model is very expensive. Currently, only big companies in US, Jackson Laboratory, in US, River, what another company, Charles River in US, and also Gen Pharmatech in China, produce this type of mice model in the world. So we like to come to, like to do this in our region, in Southeast Asia. With the help of Singapore. And the study was started actually. We started to collect all the, immune system. I mean this actually we collect from the cord blood. Yeah, cord blood got certain marker that can be used at it carry the human immune system in that marker that can be implanted into mice.
Very amazing, and we're looking forward on the success story.
Yes, inshallah, hopefully. It's all at the beginning now.
Speaking about the collaboration,
Yes.
on our part of developing the biotech or bio-based industries, how Ubat see the benefit that we of the agency under the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, also we ourselves as Bioeconomy Corporation, providing benefit toward Ubat?
Yeah, I think this is very good since we actually quite as BioNexus actually we already established BioNexus since the previously bioeconomy called Biotech Corporation, not bioeconomy. So long. And at that time, I think we got a lot of actually bioeconomy provided as funding for us to start with all of this because we need some funding for everything. And Alhamdulillah, that's bioeconomy at that time provided funding for us to start with all of this. But even now, actually, if bioeconomy no longer give any fundings to us, okay, but as I mentioned, that funding actually helped us a lot in establishing this actually center. We start with all of this, but if it's okay, even now if bioeconomy no longer give funding, but we already can survive already with all the services, research, whatever collaboration that I mentioned just now. But good that bioeconomy still continue to promote us. Bioeconomy provided a lot of platform to promote us the services that we can provide to link give us some networking. I mean, this is something really useful for all the BioNexus laboratory. And the government also, of course provided funding in terms of grant for research. Yeah, and also we also got not only in ministry, we also got involved from Nano Malaysia. They provided us grant also for us to get to verify of our nano formulation. Also, we got certain funding from them also. So we got a lot of help from the
bio ecosystem.
Government.
Yes. Speaking on the Ubat itself, maybe Prof can share what kind of milestone that Ubat has achieved lah. Or maybe Prof can share about the significant industrial collaboration.
Yes.
And so on.
We achieved a lot. I think a lot of milestones since the establishment because from we only started with doing bioequivalent study. Now until this stage, we actually have a lot of company already in terms of bioavailability study. Few companies we have already in terms of their what they want to and some of that actually the product is already marketed in terms of like vitamin or something like that. They develop like tocotrienol or something. We have done a lot of study for tocotrienol also, but the milestone that we actually achieved is actually huge when we actually able to collaborate with many biotech companies. Especially now we engage more on cell therapeutics. This is a new area, as I mentioned before. This is that means cell therapeutic is actually okay. We move towards the small molecules and biologics, but now cell therapeutic is actually the new era in biopharmaceuticals. People actually most of biotech in international biotech companies now they're focusing on cell therapeutic because cell therapeutic is actually something that can actually overcome the current limitation of drug because all drug as you know all drug are made as poison actually. That phrase all poison all drugs are poison. Only those make them as a medicine. So that's mean we want to move towards not receiving the poison in the body. So by using what cell therapeutic cells mean we use our own body cell to combat the disease, especially in cancer. This is what we actually team up with one biotech companies in Malaysia. And also, if I wanted to mention also, if you know UPS Pharmaceutical, we recently also going to sign agreement with UPS Pharmaceutical to develop, dendritic cells, for vaccine, cancer vaccine, and also for organoid patient-derived organoid also. If you know that patient-derived organoid is actually something that we can develop for cancer study.
Yeah.
So we can take the cancer cells,
Okay.
the real cancer cells,
Grow it.
and then make them in the lab to become a cancer cell in the lab.
Mm.
So let's say breast cancer.
Yeah.
So we take cells from breast cancer, we develop the breast cancer cell in the lab.
Okay.
Then we can use that one in the lab to test the drugs, whatever drugs that need to hit the target. So we can test out hundreds of drugs to see which one is most effective
Yeah.
against that breast.
Yes.
So that will reduce the because even in treatment of cancer now also, doctors still trying another. They try this drug, they try this drug, and at the end, patient cancer patient suffered a lot of adverse effect.
Yeah.
So by using this in the lab, we can test the drug. Which one is that means it is we call personalized medicine because we can cater because okay, one more thing, personalized medicine is in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I mentioned, personalized medicine future that means currently we practice in with one dose fits all.
Yeah.
This cannot
Yeah.
no longer. So in the future we want to do personalized medicine. That means from if that patient got cancer, we take the cell from cancer and then develop that cancer cell in the lab. Then we can test which drug is actually more suitable for this, and then we recommend to the doctor. The doctor will give that drug to the patient, and it will give more effective treatment to the patients. Personalized medicine. So this is what we actually focusing now.
Moving on from the study that be focusing under UBAT. So how Prof see on the UBAT as a research center on the advanced therapeutic? How do Prof see on UBAT can contributing to the Malaysia biopharmaceutical sector in the next maybe 5 or 10 years in the future?
Okay, in the next 5 to 10 years, I think we would like to become, the center of excellence in this, especially in cell therapeutics, because I think this is considered new area and this is for promising area. Then, if we successful in all what we actually initiated right now, so also like as I mentioned, humanized mass model,
Yes,
so we'll
yes.
be a forefront. And if we success those, we can save a lot of money for the researchers, research institution, industry. If they want to develop certain, they can test in humanized mass or everything. And if we can develop here, that means we can get access to mass cheaper. You know how much is the humanized mass? One mass cost.
Million? No?
One mass tu.
One
Harga dia price untuk one mass tu kalau nak beli untuk buat test.
100,000?
No, actually that's too expensive.
Okay.
So currently humanized mass selling by the Jackson Laboratory in US $1,000 per mass. It's so expensive. You imagine if you want to do you want to use humanized mass because in one study we need about 60 or 70 mass. So you need 70,000
to
of
complete.
USD, and then it's about few 100,000. That's actually so expensive. So if we successful in developing this, so we can get better access and the cost might be lower. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe last question for our session BioChat today. Maybe what kind of advice that Prof can give to us as the young generation or young researcher that
Okay.
looking into venture into the field of biopharmaceutical?
Okay. My advice for young researchers in biopharmaceutical, of course, we look in the patient.
Yeah.
So look at what actually patient needs.
Yeah.
Put patient at the center of your research. So what do actually they need and what actually current platform which is not address the need of the patient or everything. So as I mentioned just now, if the current, let's say in cancer, if the current treatment for cancer, chemotherapy is not fully addressed what patient really required. So why you want to concentrate on doing research in this area? While this is not I mean, you cannot provide any benefit to the patient anymore. Try to venture to another research area which is actually more promising
Yeah.
and can fix the issue of the current. But and also I would like to suggest that young researchers now concentrate more on translational research. Don't really do like research in something is not, when I mean translational, is something that you do today can actually get benefit
Yes.
one day
Yeah.
after, you can benefit to society.
Yeah.
Not like research is you just short sendiri, you
Yeah.
like doing research, but no big meaningful, no outcome towards the society or whatever thing, patient, everything. And my final suggestion, when you do research, please not only work in silo. I mean, you work in your without engaging with other. Let's say if you're from academia, don't really like to do in your area without looking at others. But if you're academia, work together with industry, because industry got a lot more things that we don't have in academic. And if you're working as researchers in industry, please look at the academia, because industry you have facilities, but you have no expertise, you have no other resources.
Yes.
And as I mentioned just now, if you want to do some to test of your something, you need a clinical studies, you need a preclinical studies, whatever thing, that all of this is in academic setting. Yeah. And healthcare, you have to work together close to the clinician, everything, because they have access to all of the disease patient or everything. So if you just do in your research, you are not going to anywhere.
Yes.
Try to do the translational research. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the Prof for this meaningful session. So we take note on your last advice, which is do not work in silo.
Yes.
And please collaborate with other academia.
Collaboration is very important.
And young researchers, please also venture into new kind of area, biopharmaceutical and so on.
Yes, that's what actually bioeconomy effort now.
Yes.
To link between academia and industry, and then try to find a way that how industry can work closely with academia for the sake of our nation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you again,
Thank you.
Prof, for coming.
Thank you very much.
The biotech session, and I think we end our session for today.
Yeah. Thank you very much also for inviting me for this session. Really helpful and really meaningful for me, especially for Ubat. Okay. Thank you.
We looking forward on the Ubat success story.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
Thank you. And yeah.